Vote Rejoin EU.
Vote Rejoin EU.
Hello, I'm Brendan Donnelly, the leader of the Rejoin EU party. Thank you very much for joining me today. Every click on this video helps the finances of our party. I shall be talking today about three topics which have been raised by people largely on social media about the work of our party. I'll be talking about our plans for the general election. I'll be talking about the timeline that we see for rejoining the European Union. And finally, I'll be commenting on the complaint, the criticism that's sometimes raised that the Rejoin EU party is simply a one-issue party. In the general election, the Rejoin EU party intends to send a number of candidates, probably in the dozens rather than the hundreds. It won't be by any means universal, but we will be wanting to give as many people as possible the choice, the option of voting in a way that reflects our view, and we hope their view, that the most important question facing British politics, indeed facing the country as a whole at the moment, is how soon we rejoin the European Union. We know that Brexit has turned out to be a monumental flop, and an increasing number of people are coming to realise that. But they don't have the opportunity from any of the mainstream political parties to vent their frustration with Brexit and their desire for it to be reversed. We are offering the electorate that choice. It's sometimes said that we run the risk of splitting the vote, which is the anti-Brexit vote or the potentially anti-Brexit vote, of letting some Conservatives in. I really don't see it that way. I think 2 points can be made. The first is that no party has a right to own the votes of the electorate. It's up to the electorate to decide how they want to vote. If there are people who think that the overwhelmingly important issue is to get a Liberal Democrat elected or to get a Labour Party member elected, then that's the way they'll vote. But if they agree with us that there's a more important issue, which is rejoining the European Union, and their desire to give expression to that view, then we're the people for them. We are giving them an option that is up to them to take or not to take. If people, in the absence of a Rejoin EU candidate, would say Liberal Democrat or Labour, that suggests to me that they're voting for that party only as a second best, not because it really represents the things that are important to the electorate. And we hope that there are people who will agree with us that rejoining the EU is the most pressing issue of British politics at the moment. There's a second consideration, which is that it's obvious that Labour are going to win a large majority in any event. The Rejoin EU party's intervention are not going to make any difference to that. It may be that in an individual constituency, a Labour or a Liberal Democrat candidate doesn't get elected as a result of our intervention. Well, that's just the system that we have at the moment. And I think it will be rather unseemly for anyone to complain about the system, given that the Rejoin EU party is simply participating in that existing British electoral system. But it's really after the general election that things become interesting, in my view, on the question of rejoining the European Union. We, as our party, will be attempting to put down a marker for what I'm quite confident will be a developing debate about Europe in the years of the Starmer government. I think that for the first couple of years, Starmer will find it difficult to eat his words about Europe, about not rejoining the single market, not rejoining the customs union. But I remember Winston Churchill's view that he'd often had to swallow his own words, and he found them quite a nourishing and agreeable dish. Perhaps Starmer will come to the same conclusion after a couple of years. I think that the economic position he'll be confronted will be very difficult indeed. I think that the programme on which he is likely to be elected is one that lacks bite. It lacks enthusiasm. I think halfway through his period in office, he'll be looking around for something to re-energise his political prospectus. And coming much nearer to the European Union, perhaps even rejoining the European Union, might well be the means he grasps for in order to renovate, to revitalise his premiership. Because I think without it, in 2026, he could find himself rather cast adrift. It's been astonishing that without leadership from major political parties over the past 5 years, nevertheless, public opinion on its own has come to the conclusion that Brexit is a flop and Brexit needs to be reversed. I can't see that changing. I think by 2026, public opinion will be even more firmly convinced of the uselessness and counterproductiveness of Brexit There will be no political risk associated with becoming more pro-EU for Starmer in a couple of years' time. Rejoin EU party hopes to canalise and emphasise that movement within British public opinion and to show Labour Party and the Liberal Democrats, Greens, perhaps even the Conservative Party, that there is a penalty attached to not being pro-EU and also votes to be gained through being pro-EU. I'm quite confident that come the next election after the one that we're going to have this year, the Labour Party and probably the Liberal Democrats and Greens will be offering manifesto commitments to become much closer to the European Union. That might go through the halfway house of being in the single market and the customs union. Personally, I think that if you're going to join the customs union and the single market, we might as well go the whole hog and rejoin the European Union in one bound. That will be something for politicians to decide over the coming years. But the direction of travel seems to me quite clear. Over the next 4 years of Keir Starmer's Labour government, we will be moving much closer to Europe. And that's a process that will be accelerating in the second half of his period in office after a slow start in the first couple of years when he's still bound by the, in my view, unnecessary and foolish commitments he's given. I'd like to end, if I may, by talking about a criticism and a complaint that I've heard from some, that the Rejoin EU party is simply a protest, a one-issue party. Well, there's truth in that. We are a one-issue party, but what an issue! It's an issue that contains within itself aspects of education, transport, human rights, defence, foreign policy. It's very difficult to think of any area of British politics that isn't affected by our being out of the European Union. But I think there's something even deeper that I point to about Brexit and its implications for British politics. Brexit was founded on lies and fantasy and evasions. And you can't have a healthy political culture where such lies and such fantasy go unreversed. I think it will be an act of political cleansing, of political hygiene, to reject Brexit, to reverse Brexit, to take our rightful place in the European Union again. So when we are accused of being a one-issue party, I'm not against that. In a way, we hope to be the mirror image of the UKIP party. UKIP managed to make an important contribution to changing public opinion within the United Kingdom about the merits of the European Union and our position in it. We hope to do the same thing from the other point of view. We hope to canalise, and we can canalise, because the opinion polls show that Brexit is becoming increasingly unpopular, to canalise the energy of those who know that we need to get back into the European Union. So I hope that the future of the Rejoin EU party will be one that's going with the grain of political developments over the 2020s in any case. That's certainly what we're going to be offering as a prospectus to the electorate in 2024. We will have a manifesto setting out at greater length the principles which we think should underlie British politics. We don't think it's by chance, as they used to say in Pravda, that Brexit came about in our dysfunctional political system. We think that rejoining the European Union and our advocacy of it will be part of a healing process for British politics. And in my lifetime, certainly, there's never been any period where that healing process was more called for. Thank you very much.
Embark on a majestic journey with the Rejoin EU party and support our cause on Patreon. Be part of the movement.
Vote Rejoin EU. Join the EU vision.